What is going on, New York Giant fans? Welcome back to another Roster Bubble Series video. Hit the like button if you haven't already, comment, and subscribe. Turn on post notifications so you know when a live stream pops or video drops. Appreciate you all coming back. Share this out. Do all the good stuff. And we're doing another Roster Bubble Series video here. We're going to do it on Ryder Anderson, who has been with the Giants before. And in these videos, I take a player that's on the roster bubble. I talk about their background, their competition, ways they could win a spot on the roster, ways they could lose a spot on the roster, so on and so forth. Prediction at the end. So we'll talk about Ryder Anderson, 6'6", 280, defensive end, defensive interior as well. 25 years old, went to Ole Miss and finished his career at Indiana before signing with the New York Giants as an undrafted free agent in 2022. Was eventually signed to the practice squad after being cut and elevated pretty much for most of the rest of the season. And then what happened is 2023 comes along. End of 2023, he gets signed to a reserve futures contract, but he was pretty much on the practice squad the entire season, was not moved around or whatnot. He was also injured for a part of training camp. Now, his stats in 2022, the Giants were mushing in a lot of defensive linemen. Because you had Dex, you had Leo, you had the two ends, which really doesn't matter in this scenario. Then you had nobody behind them. You had Henry Mondo, you had Justin Ellis, you had Vernon Butler, Ryder Anderson was one of them, and they were looking for guys that could stop the run, and none of those guys really could do that. And obviously they still haven't had guys that could stop the run. But in 2022 with the Giants, 2 starts, 7 games, 2 sacks, 8 tackles, 2 tackles for loss, and 2 quarterback hits, and 33% of the defensive snaps. So what is this competition going to look like? Elijah Chapman, and I'm taking defensive line in general, not tackle or defensive end and this and the third. I'm talking interior defensive line, defensive end, that stuff. Elijah Chapman, the undrafted free agent, who also could be a fullback in some scenarios, so the Giants might fool around with that, maybe too with that. Jordan Phillips, the veteran defensive tackle from the Bills, from the Dolphins, from the Cardinals, Casey Rogers, Oregon product, and Jordan Riley and DJ Davidson, who are also competing for such positions. How can he win? In my opinion, from what I've seen from Ryder Anderson, he is more of a pass rusher than he is a run stopper. Now, that is a good thing that he is a pass rusher, right? You know, you do need some pass rushing asset alongside Dexter Lawrence and the rest of the guys on the defensive line. But what the Giants are looking for at that second position is maybe a bulkier guy, but someone who could play the run well. And I think that's where Ryder Anderson does need to improve. Needs to improve as a run defender. Speed, he's lighter than some of the other guys in the defensive line, and use that in your pass rushing game. Special teams attributes, that's also big as well. And health and adaptation to scheme. Health is a big one. I know he was injured a little bit last training camp. Special teams attributes, he can play specials. He's not like, he's 300, 400 pounds. He can't play specials. He can play specials. He's played specials before. Whether it's blocking field goals or even blocking on punt returns or just being an asset on punt returns and also kickoffs. So, again, he can make his way through special teams, not like a guy where Elijah Riley or Miles Boykin may solely rely on special teams or Stanley Thomas Oliver, but Ryder Anderson could use that as an extra bulk to get a roster spot. And adaptation to scheme, if you guys watched the first episode of Hard Knocks, he was talking about, meaning Shane Bowen, he was talking about, different guys that could play that defensive interior position. And they were really tweening back and forth. Okay, is it going to be a pass rusher that we get in high asset, or is it going to be a defensive interior or defensive end in the 3-4 scheme? And he was talking about, okay, could Boogie Basham play the role next to Lawrence? Could Ryder Anderson play the role next to Lawrence? Me personally, I'd rather put Ryder Anderson there because I feel like he's a guy that could be solid. Not that he's great, but he's a solid player for what he is, rather than a guy like, Nunez Roches. He's decent. I mean, not great when it comes to stopping the run, and then so on and so forth, the guys after him. So I think adaptation to scheme, and that's also notable that he called out Ryder Anderson. He could have called out this, that, and the third guy, but he called out Ryder Anderson, which is notable. So how can he lose? Injury is definitely one of them. Lack of growth as a run defender, minimal production as a pass rusher. The Giants really haven't gotten too many sacks in the preseason. Not that it's like a huge focus, but it's been pretty much okay. The offensive line is dominating the defensive line, this, that, and the third. We've seen that in training camp. We've seen that in the preseason. Ryder Anderson will have to show off some stuff in training camp to, make a roster spot, whether it's run defender, pass rusher. If he doesn't grow as a run defender, you could see, okay, maybe he's a situational pass rusher in terms of the defensive interior spot. If he doesn't really have production as a pass rusher in the defensive interior spot, he is in trouble. He is very much in trouble with that. But that's how he can win. That's how he could lose. Unfortunately, I do have him getting cut. I feel like there's a couple of guys that the Giants have ahead of him and that could play better. I like Ryder Anderson. I really do. He's kind of similar situation to Simon Fox. But I feel like they just are not going to get their chance with the Giants, kind of like Quincy Roche and other players. But I have him getting cut, unfortunately. Like, comment, subscribe, do all the good stuff. Turn on post notifications so you know when a live stream pops through drops. Appreciate you coming back. Peace out, guys. See you later. Stay cool.